That's what the guy said.
Peregrine falcon?
Peregrine.
Peregrine, and it's really, really fast?
Yeah, 160 miles an
Эти
hour.
птицы спорят.
Today we're close by, we're just going for a little bit of hiking, bird watching. We don't have time for long hiking trips. So we're just gonna walk around and, you know, just get some fresh air and nothing fancy really. Let's go. Today I want to continue on the topic of what you should not do in e-discovery. In the previous video we talked about why it's a bad idea to create one giant PDF, and I try to be as helpful as possible by providing tips what you should talk to a client if they insist on doing that. Now today I want to talk about text messages. Text messages are getting more and more popular, and we're seeing them in our document collections more and more. And there's some bad things that people tend to do when dealing with text messages. So what's the problem with text messages? Why are they a problem? You know, why do we have to deal with them differently than other documents like emails or e-docs? The reason for this, each text message isn't a complete piece of communication. When you look at an email, there is a certain idea or thought that somebody put together, they wrote it out and they send it. And if it's a reply or chain of emails, you can read that whole chain and you can figure out what's going on. You cannot do that with a text message. By looking at one text message, two or three, you may not get an idea of what's going on. You need to have lots of text messages, number of text messages, maybe days worth or even a couple of days worth. So one of the mistakes we make with text messages, we try to treat them as emails or e-docs, which of course they're not. So one of the things people try to do is to make text message look like an email. So they generate this like fake native file where it's a text file that contains person who sent the text message, date when they sent it, and then the content of a message and maybe some other metadata. And this way it creates a native file for a text message that could be stored on a separate file. And each text message is stored in a separate file, which of course you can understand that creates a gazillion text files and it's really difficult to deal with. And the next thing people do that's even worse than that is they go and try to TIFF out all those native files. They create one TIFF image either per fake native with a header, or they just TIFF out each text message on a separate image. Can you imagine how unhelpful it would be to receive data set like that? You would have to go from one native or from one TIFF to the next just to see the next text message, and then it would be really hard to go back and forth or even try to make sense of a conversation. Like I said, you need to review dozens or even hundreds of text messages in order to understand what's going on. And if you have to flip through TIFF images over and over, it's going to take a lot of work to make sense of the conversation. Why would people produce in such an unhelpful format? There are a few reasons for that. One is to comply with outdated production specifications. Production specification says you must produce in TIFF format, so what people are going to do? They're going to TIFF them out. Each document must be Bates numbered. All right, let's take each message and TIFF it out and Bates number it. Now we're going to comply with production format. Second reason, they may not know any better, and that's the production format that they're used to, so that's what they're following. And the third, they received production in that format, they see how unhelpful it is, and they want to return the favor back to the people who produced and say, here is our data in the same format, yeah, go ahead and review that. So in a way, just like we talked about with one big PDF, they're trying to be jerks to the other side. Whether it's justifiable or not, I don't know, I'm not gonna go there. But Those are the three reasons. So what should we do? What's the practical way? How should we deal with text messages? All right, so from my recommendations, being a relativity user, I would of course recommend RSMF. That's the relativity short message file format, which takes lots of text messages and keeps them all in one file. So you can review them in one file, image them, and produce. And you have option to produce as RSMF native file, which people may not want to do, or you can image it and then you can have a nice representation of your chat conversation. So that honestly would be my preferred format, and not just because I'm a relativity user, because it's actually pretty good. Oh, also, it's backwards compatible with other processing software, so if you were to take RSMF file and process it somewhere else, it will open up as an EML file and you'll get all the content extracted. It's not gonna look good as it would in relativity, but you're still gonna get an idea of what's going on. My second preferred production format for text messages is a DAT file, and that file will include links to attachments. So what you would do is assign Bates numbers to each text message and then export it out with native files. So when somebody loads it, they will get an industry standard DAT file, which will have a Bates number. It's just not stamped on an image, but it's assigned to each text message. And they will have a native link, so when they click on attachment, picture or whatever opens up. And if you want to go with something even simpler, Excel file with native links will do just fine. It's still a better production format for text messages. Just convert your DAT file into Excel, save it out, create a new link, like use the hyperlink formula or something like that, and then produce it that way. Whoever gets it will appreciate getting that and not a bunch of TIFF images with one text message per file. Now the last format I can suggest is an EML file. They're not as easy to generate, but if you have ability to create an EML container with all the pictures and communication in the body of that EML file, that's okay to do. In fact, I built that functionality into Message Crawler just for people who don't use RSMF, they don't use relativity. So they have alternative way of exporting their text messages. Again, that's not my preferred format, but it's an option. So those are my things not to do with text messages. Since this is new, I would really like to know, how do you produce text messages? What format do you use? How do you package it up? Do you make separate TIFF images per message? Do you make fake native files? Do you produce Excel? Please let me know. I'm actually very interested to know what other people are doing for this data type. If you like this video, please give me a follow on LinkedIn or subscribe on YouTube. Don't forget, I make different tools for e-discovery, so it sucks less. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.